Hi guys, hope everyone's doing well. So I just wanted to do a quick update actually on both of these cars for the recent claims that I've had. And I'm gonna turn in for bed real quick or real soon here. So first update on the Corvette. I know some of you were asking what happened with the claim. So a couple of videos ago, I already went over what the payout was, but I did get paid out in full for 2 brand new Michelin tires, which is what was originally on the car before the tires were burnt out by another host, or maybe he sub-rented it, which is kind of what it seems like happened. Not really sure, but they did pay out in full to get brand new tires and get them mounted and balanced, which I think came out to, I think it was roughly like $800 or so, or 7 something. I did follow up with my claims agent about, what happens to a renter in this scenario where, there is clear abuse of a car. If you didn't watch that last video, both rear tires were clearly burnt out. There is probably a 3-inch thick layer of burnt rubber all around the wheel well. So it was pretty terrible. And all my GPS tracking showed also that this person was driving at very high speeds. They did not visit a racetrack because I did look at the history. They were mostly driving through the canyons in LA, and they were going, upwards of 150 miles per hour. I think the top speed was 156, and this was several times. It wasn't just one time where it was like, hey, we're opening up the car to see how fast it goes. This was, over a dozen times. So I did actually send in all my GPS data to Turo support, to my claims agent, and I did express my concern with, having a renter like that on the platform, and clearly asked what happens in that scenario. So far, the only response that I've gotten back is we'll look into their account, which I don't really know what the final disposition on something like that is, but I'll try my best to follow up. But it's like I can only put in so much of my time to try to follow up on things like this and figure out what happens. So as far as I can see, that person is still able to rent on the platform is what it seems like, which is kind of sucky, but that is why it's so important to leave reviews. Then the second thing that I asked about was, well, because of the way that my car was driven, I had to do a full fluid flush. I did an oil change, transmission fluid, just to make sure that the car was okay. I had it inspected. And so, what about reimbursements for costs like that? The response that I got back on that was that they normally do not cover things like that, but due to the situation that I could submit my receipts, they would send it up to their supervisors and see what they could do on their end. So still to be determined what happens in that scenario. Okay, now my most recent claim was my Polaris Slingshot, which I'm so thankful for that it wasn't that bad. I would consider it to be pretty minor. This happened just over the weekend. And so basically what happened, long story short, was there was 2 renters that were brothers. They rented 2 different Slingshots. One was for me and one was from another host in the area. Apparently on their way back to return the cars, they were racing and had some sort of an accident. In this situation, I got really lucky where my Polaris was spared with minimal damage. However, for the other host, his Polaris was totaled, and it was a beautiful orange Polaris. I mean, it was immaculate. I've seen the listing before on Turo, and so it's really kind of sad to hear that happened. The renter that was driving the orange Polaris actually ended up in the ICU. I followed up because his sisters, or the brother, they were 2 brothers, so the sister had actually reached out to me when I had filed a claim to ask me what happened, because I think the family was still trying to figure out what happened, what caused the accident, what were these guys up to, and so she seemed pretty surprised to learn that this car had damage as well. And I did follow up with the sister just to see how her brother was doing. This is not my renter. My renter was okay. This is the other one, and the good news was that he was conscious and in stable condition, so he's likely going to make a full recovery, which, thank goodness. I've never had an experience where there was any type of an accident where there was actually maybe loss of life. So, you know, I'm sure it's happened at some point in time on Turo, but I've never experienced that, thank goodness, because that would just be really tragic. So I've submitted the claim for this. If you're just tuning in, the shifter was broken. So again, it kind of makes sense if they had some sort of collision, if there was a hard impact against the shifter where it just kind of snapped off the top. And then the front right light and housing was completely pushed in, probably about 7 inches, I think is what I measured. And I mean, that was really like a part of the frame that got pushed in. So that impact had to be really hard. So, you know, I don't know what happened, but it seems like they were both probably racing each other. Something went wrong, and I just can't quite figure out what my Polaris hit because of the way that the damage was. There wasn't really any cracks in anything. There was no like loss of paint anywhere. It was just really that light piece and the housing that was pushed all the way in, and a part of the housing fell off. So I don't know. And the light actually ended up being okay. So I'm still in the midst of that claim. I'll keep you guys posted. But again, you know, these are things that are as bad as they seem if people are racing or burning out your tires, but actually in the grand scheme of things, these things are actually kind of quite minor because they're easier to fix. You know, you don't actually really have much body damage, which requires your car to be in a shop and be down for, you know, a couple weeks at a time, where, you know, there's panels that need to be repaired and repainted or replaced, things like that. So, you know, I'm okay when things like this happen to me. It doesn't really freak me out too bad because they're generally pretty easy to take care of. So I'll keep you guys posted on what happens on the Polaris claim, and if I ever hear back on what happens with a renter who clearly misuses and abuses a car, I'll keep you guys updated. But on that note, I'm going to keep this video short for today and call it a night. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. My name is Saimah. This is Saimah's Experience. And if you like this channel, be sure to subscribe. You guys all have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.